Elvis Presley remains one of the greatest musicians in American history, and his relationship with his wife, Priscilla Presley, was not only passionate but also one of the most publicized in all of Hollywood. Elvis met Priscilla while serving in the army, stationed in Germany. Their whirlwind romance eventually culminated in a highly publicized marriage. However, not everything was as perfect as it seemed. Infidelity, long periods of absence, and numerous other problems plagued their relationship behind closed doors from the very beginning. What really happened behind the scenes of their tumultuous love story? Now, at 79 years old, Priscilla is finally breaking her silence, revealing shocking details about their marriage, the hardships they endured, and the truth she has kept hidden for years. How did Elvis Presley and Priscilla Presley meet? Priscilla Presley was only 14 years old when she met 24-year-old Elvis Presley at a party in West Germany in September. Priscilla's early life was marked by tragedy. Her father, Lieutenant James Wagner, a Navy pilot, died in a plane crash when she was just 6 months old. Her mother, and later remarried an officer in the U.S. Air Force, Captain Paul Beaulieu, and together, they raised Priscilla and her 5 half-siblings. Like many military families, they moved frequently, with Wiesbaden being their final destination. Elvis had been drafted into the U.S. Army in March 1958, a sudden change that left him deeply concerned about his rising career. Just a year and a half before, he had made his electrifying debut on The Ed Sullivan Show, sending fans into hysteria and alarming conservatives with his provocative dance moves. By that time, he had already sold millions of records and had purchased his now iconic 10-room mansion, Graceland. Despite his love for extravagance, reflected later in the lavish decor of his home and his custom-made outfits, Elvis had a deeply sentimental side. He was known to be a devoted mama's boy with very traditional values, especially regarding women. His mother, Gladys Presley, was the most important person in his life, and her death in August devastated him. Many who knew him claimed he never truly recovered. Priscilla Presley recalls the night she first met Elvis. Priscilla first met Elvis at his rented home near the military base in Bad Nauheim, and she vividly remembered the moment he noticed her. "Well, what do we have here?" he asked, observing her with curiosity. "Are you a junior or senior in high school?" When she told him she was only in the 9th grade, he responded, "Well, you're just a baby." Then, as if to impress her, he walked over to the piano and began to sing. "I saw Elvis trying to get my attention," Priscilla recalled. "I noticed that the more I remained indifferent, the more he sang just for me. I couldn't believe that Elvis Presley was trying to impress me." That night, she wore a simple sailor dress, a choice she later explained to UPI, saying she found it hard to believe she was actually going to meet the Elvis Presley. But their first meeting wasn't a one-time event. Priscilla was soon invited back to his house for another evening, then another. By the 3rd night, Elvis asked her to come upstairs so they could be alone. She hesitated, but he reassured her. "I swear, I would never do anything to hurt you," he told her. "I'll treat you like a sister." When did Elvis Presley start dating Priscilla? Priscilla's parents were far from thrilled about her spending time with Elvis. But when it became clear that she had no intention of staying away from him, her stepfather, Captain Paul Beaulieu, insisted on meeting the singer in person. Elvis arrived for dinner in full military uniform, determined to make a good impression. But Paul wasn't swayed by appearances. He got straight to the point. "What exactly do you want with my daughter?" Priscilla later recalled Elvis's response. "Well, sir, I'm very fond of her," he said. "She's far more mature than her age, and I enjoy her company. It's not easy being away from home. It gets lonely. You could say I need someone to talk to." "Don't worry about her, Captain. I'll take good care of her." Though their relationship technically remained unconsummated, Priscilla revealed that they were deeply involved. She explained that Elvis's Southern upbringing had instilled in him the belief that a good girl should be preserved for marriage, and she was that girl. At the same time, he was molding her into his ideal woman. "I wore the clothes, the hairstyle, and the makeup of his meticulous choosing," she recalled. Although she adored Elvis, she began to feel frustration at having to share him with so many fans. "It was only late at night, when we were alone in his room, that I was truly happy," she confided. There they would kiss and talk for hours. And Priscilla always maintained that they were intimate only on their wedding night. However, their relationship started affecting her in other ways. Priscilla struggled to keep up in school, and one evening, Elvis handed her some pills, telling her they would help her stay awake the next day. She didn't take them, but she later learned they were dexedrine, a type of amphetamine. Elvis had started using them during his military service, and now he was offering them to her. When did Elvis Presley and Priscilla reunite? When Elvis returned to the United States in March 1960, Priscilla didn't hear from him immediately. Instead, she learned from the media that he was dating Nancy Sinatra, the first of many Hollywood stars he would be romantically linked to. It wasn't until 3 weeks after he had left Germany that he finally called her. From that moment on, Priscilla described her life as being in a state of suspended animation, constantly waiting for his rare phone calls. Sometimes he wouldn't contact her for weeks. Other times it was months. By early 1962, nearly 2 years had passed since they had last seen each other, until one day, out of the blue, Elvis invited her to Los Angeles. Convincing her parents wasn't easy, but once they agreed, Elvis sent her a first-class plane ticket for what was supposed to be a 2-week stay. When she arrived, their reunion was tender, but almost immediately he told her she couldn't stay at his house. Instead, a member of his entourage drove her to a friend's place. Priscilla later found out why. Just before she arrived, Elvis had quietly sent home his rumored ex-girlfriend, Anita Wood. He didn't want Priscilla to stumble upon any late-night phone calls. Despite this, the trip was a whirlwind. Elvis took her on a luxurious road trip to Las Vegas, showered her with gifts, and filled her wardrobe with new outfits. But an unspoken message lingered in the air. He made it clear that he would know if she so much as looked at another man. And for Priscilla, simply being in his world was intoxicating enough. Priscilla spent Christmas of 1962 at Graceland, and when she returned to Germany, she had big news for her mother. Elvis wanted her to move to Memphis permanently to finish high school. This was a shocking request for her parents, given that Priscilla was just 17 and still living with them on the Wiesbaden military base. At first, they outright refused. Sending their teenage daughter across the world to live near an older man, especially one with a reputation like Elvis Presley, was out of the question. But Elvis was persuasive. He reassured her parents that she would be well cared for, emphasizing that she would live under the strict supervision of his father, Vernon, and his stepmother, Dee, rather than directly with him. He framed the move as an opportunity for Priscilla to continue her education in the U.S. while being close to him. He swore that he loved me, that he needed me, and that he respected me, Priscilla later told People. In fact, he said he couldn't live without me and hinted that one day we would get married. Elvis even got Priscilla's father, Captain Paul Beaulieu, on the phone. A strict Air Force officer, Captain Beaulieu remained skeptical, but Elvis made a heartfelt promise that Priscilla's studies would come first and that he would take full responsibility for her well-being. To ease their concerns, Vernon Presley also wrote a letter vouching for the arrangement. Eventually, after much persuasion, Priscilla's parents reluctantly agreed, on the condition that she write to them regularly and maintain good grades. In early 1963, at just 17 years old, Priscilla left Germany behind and moved to Memphis to be near Elvis. But the arrangement wasn't exactly as her parents had imagined. Technically, Priscilla was supposed to live at Vernon and Dee Presley's house, just a few minutes from Graceland. However, she quickly found herself spending most of her time at Elvis's mansion. At first, she continued attending Immaculate Conception High School, a strict all-girls Catholic school in Memphis. She tried to keep up the appearance of a normal teenage life, doing homework, wearing her school uniform, and pretending she was just another student. But in reality, Priscilla's life was anything but normal. When she wasn't at school, she was at Graceland, immersed in a world of luxury, late-night parties, and the unpredictable moods of one of the most famous men in the world. "I was living a very adult life," she later admitted. "I wasn't like the other girls my age." Her nights at Graceland were a whirlwind. Elvis would keep odd hours, often waking Priscilla up in the middle of the night to watch movies, talk, or go for drives. He controlled everything from the clothes she wore to the way she did her makeup. Priscilla had entered a relationship that would shape the rest of her life, but one that was far from conventional. Technically, Priscilla moved in with Vernon and Dee while attending Immaculate Conception Catholic High School, an all-girls school in Memphis. But in reality, she spent most of her time at Graceland until she simply lived there full-time. Looking back on this decision in a 2017 interview for Good Morning America, Priscilla acknowledged the doubts people had about it. People say, "Oh my God, I can't believe your parents let you go with this stranger, but it was a very innocent time. I loved him very much. I felt safe. You can't compare it to today. We still had values, high standards. There was a lot of attention and respect." But while Priscilla was settling into her new life in Memphis, Elvis was spending most of his time in Hollywood, filming multiple movies a year, each with a dazzling leading actress. Whether or not he had as many affairs as rumors suggested, one thing was clear: he was not exactly living the life of a committed man. Life at Graceland was lonely during those early years, Priscilla admitted in a 2017 interview. Elvis's controlling manager, Colonel Tom Parker, wanted to maintain the illusion that his biggest star was single. He feared that if fans knew Elvis was in a serious relationship, they would lose interest and stop buying his records. There wasn't even a photo of the two of them in the house. "The Colonel was always kind to me," Priscilla noted, "but he made it clear that he didn't want fans to know I was the one." There were, however, glamorous moments. Elvis would sometimes pick her up from school in a limousine or fly her out to Los Angeles while he was filming. "It was such an extravagant way of life," she told People in 1978, "that I'm just grateful I came out of it sane." But no matter what, Elvis never wavered from the future he imagined for them. Just before Christmas, in his bedroom at Graceland, he got down on one knee and proposed, offering her a stunning 3.5-carat diamond ring surrounded by 20 smaller diamonds, designed by Memphis jeweler Harry Levitch. Colonel Tom Parker wanted everything to be as discreet as possible. So, in the early hours of May 1st, the day of their wedding, Elvis and Priscilla secretly left Palm Springs and flew to Las Vegas on Frank Sinatra's private jet. Around 3 a.m., they went to obtain their marriage license, Priscilla later recalled. By morning, they were exchanging vows in a small room at the Aladdin Hotel. The ceremony was intimate, with only 14 guests, and was officiated by Nevada Supreme Court Justice David Zenoff. Afterward, they held a brief press conference and celebrated with a champagne breakfast for 100 guests downstairs. A larger reception was held later at Graceland. "My wedding was very unusual," Priscilla said. "It was just the people closest to us. It was private, exactly the way we wanted it. We didn't want a fan club. We didn't want a circus." After the ceremony, Elvis jokingly remarked, "Well, it was about time. With the life I had, I figured it was better to wait." After their Las Vegas wedding, Elvis and Priscilla left for a lavish honeymoon. In her autobiography Elvis and Me, Priscilla recalled that Elvis had arranged their trip using Frank Sinatra's private jet, flying them from Vegas to Palm Springs for their romantic getaway. As soon as they arrived, they were swarmed by journalists at the airport and outside their honeymoon home. They hadn't slept in nearly 2 days, but the excitement of being newlyweds kept them awake. That night marked a turning point in their relationship. For the first time, they were truly alone as husband and wife, and Priscilla later described their first night together as a whirlwind of emotion and passion. At just 21 years old, she was finally stepping into her role as Elvis's wife, and, in a way, as a woman now under the scrutiny of the entire world. Exactly 9 months after their wedding, Priscilla and Elvis welcomed their daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, on February 1, 1968, in Memphis. As they left the hospital, they were treated like royalty, with fans and photographers eager to catch a glimpse of the newest member of the Presley family. Elvis adored Lisa Marie, but he had his limits as a father. He didn't change diapers. "That wasn't a man's job," Priscilla said, adding that he even had trouble watching her eat because of the inevitable baby drool. But he loved spoiling her. By the time she was 3, she already owned a fur coat, and he had developed a habit of giving her $5 for every lost baby tooth. In 1975, when he bought his private jet, he named it Lisa Marie in her honor. Despite their growing family, Priscilla admitted that their lives still revolved entirely around Elvis. My life was his, she told People in 1978. He had to be happy. We never disturbed him. My problems were secondary. She also struggled with the attention he attracted. Women were drawn to him. So I was nervous when he had to go out alone. I even went with him when he had his teeth cleaned, she admitted. I always kept an eye on him because the whole world was after him. Over time, things changed between them. Many who have written about Elvis's life have suggested that he lost romantic interest in Priscilla after she became a mother. But as long as they were together, she remained entirely devoted to him.